To assemble in the house of the Lord is always, and however often repeated, a God-pleasing, holy act. For man, when there, is best enabled to search and prove himself, and turning his view inward, he will discover the wounds of his heart. At that time defects are laid open, which hitherto have remained invisible to him. Or he discovers a fault which, though called good before the world, can still not be approved of by his alarmed conscience. It is in such an hour that your heart admonishes you of your duty to remember your destiny as men. With these words did H. Stern begin his Passover sermon at the Portuguese synagogue at Richmond, Virginia on April 12, 1846. We can hear in his opening one of his main themes that he does talk about in his sermon, the importance of attending synagogue. That will not be my topic for today. But rather, I want to look at an issue that he merely, if I can make a pun for the wrong time of the year, passes over. He talks about our destiny as men, or as we would say today, our destiny as human beings. He was so sure that we have such a destiny that he did not really spend any time in his talk laying out what that destiny is. Today, I don't think that we are so sure about that destiny. Do we have a destiny? And if we do, what is it? In the distant past, our destiny was set out fairly clearly. When we read the Torah, we find the narrative of our enslavement in Egypt, and the destiny of our people is made clear: liberation. The people of Israel go from being enslaved to being free. Sure, there are bumps along the way, but it is clear from the way the story is told that that is where Israel is going. And if we continue further into the Bible, the overarching narrative is how a free people living in their own land become enslaved, spiritually to gods of their own making, and physically to foreign powers. Again, the Bible sets a trajectory for the people, a release from bondage, and a return to a life of freedom in our own land. For a very long time after that period depicted at the close of the Hebrew Bible, we as a people worked on attaining that goal, regaining our land, freeing ourselves, and then falling back into enslavement to a foreign power until we were almost completely banished from our land. And then, for almost 2,000 years, our people knew what our destiny was: redemption at the hand of a deliverer, redemption to freedom in our own land. In the 19th century, for the Jews of Western Europe that experienced the liberation that came with civil emancipation, these historical destinies lost their appeal. I mean, on the one hand, some of them, like freedom from slavery in Egypt, were done. Check. Further, the idea that there was a contemporary enslavement rang hollow to their ears because of the great freedoms that they enjoyed. For those early reformers, gone was the desire for physical liberation, but they understood the story of our people to point to our purpose as a people. Our tradition calls us to be a holy people, a light unto the nations, a calling that has been referred to as the mission of Israel. Kaufman Kohler, one of the leaders of Reform Judaism at the end of the 19th century, made much use of the phrase mission of Israel. His understanding was that our destiny was to be the bearer of light and a witness for God to the nations. Instead of retreating from the world, he understood our role as requiring engagement with the world, not so that we should convert the masses to Judaism, but rather so that through our behavior the world would be inspired to realize that there is only one God in the universe. The other nations of the world would then join Israel in a global religious understanding that would lead to a world of peace and prosperity. His philosophy is best summed up by a paragraph in the Ne'ilah service, the final service on Yom Kippur, from the Union Prayer Book, which he himself edited. Endow us, our guardian, with strength and patience for our holy mission. Grant that all the children of thy people may recognize the goal of our changeful career, so that they may exemplify by their zeal and love for mankind the truth of Israel's watchword, one humanity on earth, as there is one God in heaven. Enlighten all that call themselves by thy name with the knowledge that the sanctuary of wood and stone, which erst crowned Zion's hill, was but a gate through which Israel should step out into the world to reconcile all mankind unto thee. As part of the desire to attain that goal of universalism, Reformed Judaism dispensed with many rituals and focused strongly on social justice. But I know that I do not have to rehearse the development of classical reform or its focus on social action here at the temple. In the past, we as a people knew our destiny, and we worked to attain that goal. What made it possible for the early reformers to dispense with those rituals was an engagement with the idea of autonomy in ritual practice. Just as the nation-state had come to terms with the idea that one's religious convictions were a matter of personal conscience, so too did the early reformers assert that religious practice and ritual performance was a matter of personal conscience. We proudly say in Reformed Judaism that the individual performs the rituals that are meaningful to her or to him. So wear a kippah if that works for you. And if it doesn't, so don't wear one. Wear talis if there's meaning for that in you.